Welcome to my latest edition of Love Ultras. This is episode 34 and I'm John Kynaston. Continuing with my weekly countdown for the Northern Traverse. It's now Sunday the 8th of April 2018, which means that next Saturday, which will be the 14th of April, there's 4 weeks to go. So it's getting quite exciting now, really, in the sense of the time's getting closer and closer. Just like to give a little review of my week. Had a big weekend last weekend where I did 75 miles on the route. And so this week I wanted to have a bit of an easier week. So we had this week off work. So we went up to Inverness on Monday to spend some time with our daughter Holly and Joe and Jono and their two. And so on the Tuesday I went for a nice little run in the morning through Allness, which was that's where the little video was taken at the start of this vlog. And then Thursday I was back home, so I did a run around Brodie Park, which is my 4 loops, but each loop has 2 ups and 2 downs, so it's a nice little sort of route, and I can do it different directions, keep swapping around, do the loops in different ways, so it's 4 different unique ways of running around in a sense. So even though it's the same mile and a bit, I do it in different ways. And then yesterday I went up onto the Braes, and we've been doing some decorating in our study. And so I spent time in the morning painting and stuff, and then I got a pass to watch Sky Sports for a few days. So I watched the Everton-Liverpool game, and then around about 2:40 I think I set off up onto the Braes, which is normally later. I normally go in the mornings. And anyway, so I did a run, and I wanted to do about 18 miles, which I did. Now the loop I do, I split into 3 little mini sections. You probably won't be surprised, and the loop's just over 7.5 miles, and then up and down, so it's about a 12-mile loop. So basically did 2 loops, 2 big loops, except for one little bit of about a mile, 1.7 mile I didn't do. But anyway, the first time round, the first mini split I do is quite a bit of climbing, and it took me 39 minutes and 39 seconds. And so once I'd completed that loop, and then the second time round I decided to push a bit harder, and I did it in 37:59, so about 1 minute 40 faster. And I just wanted to see what I had in my legs if I wanted to run a little bit quicker. I was probably averaging 10.5 minute miles or so, which is, I know it's not fast, but it was a bit quicker than I have been running. And I must admit, I struggled a bit after I'd finished that little section. I still had about 5-6 miles to go, and I was starting to labour a little bit. And it was an important lesson, I think, because all my training has been, and the longer runs, has been running with Katrina and running on the recce on the course, and averaging around about sort of 14, 15, 16 minute miles. And I think I'm sort of fit to do that pace, but just trying to push the pace a bit harder, I did feel, I started to feel it a bit. So that was a good lesson, because I really wanted to try and run at 15-minute miles or average, or a bit more, a bit slower on the Northern Traverse. So if I can keep that, if I'm fit enough at that level, then that's fine. So I wanted to, for this little vlog, to talk about drop bags. One of the interesting things about doing this race is that you do have to think about having bigger drop bags. And so the next little video clip I put together is some of my thoughts about what I'm going to put in my drop bags for the race. For the Northern Traverse race, one of the interesting things is that you have to have drop bags, because obviously the race is going to take a few days, and so instead of having to carry everything, they very kindly organise drop bags. And there's 4 main checkpoints along the way, at Patterdale, at Kirkby Stephen, at Richmond and at the Lion Inn. So it means that for the logistics, they've worked out that it's probably better, easier for them, I think, as well, to have 2 drop bags that go to different places. So one drop bag will go to Patterdale and then to Richmond, and the other one will go to Kirkby Stephen and the Lion Inn. Now my strategy for the race is to try and keep going until Kirkby Stephen. That's about 82 miles. And I feel as though that should be taking me around about 25-26 hours, and I'm quite comfortable to be able to keep going for that time. I will have a stop at Patterdale, hopefully have something to eat, but I don't plan to sleep there. So my main drop bag is going to be the second one, so the one that goes to Kirkby Stephen and the Lion Inn. And the other one, which goes to Patterdale and Richmond, I'm not planning to sleep there. But I will have a sleeping bag, and I will have some things in there. So first of all, drop bags. When I thought about this, I was wondering what to use, and Andy Cole, my good friend who did the race 2 years ago, said that he had a couple of great drop bags that I could borrow. So this is number one, and this is a big black one. I got Andy Cole's name on it, and in fact there was a sticker on for the dragon's back which I've just taken off, so he must have used that one for that race. And then this one, this red one, again the same sort of size, it's about 60 litres, and this one actually has his tag on from 2016, so he was number 19, and this is drop bag A. So that's what I assume you get to add on to your drop bag. So this is basically a big dry bag, so I can put stuff in there and then fold it down to as small as I want. Now my bag for Patterdale and Richmond, I will put a sleeping bag in, just in case I want to sleep there, but I'm not planning to use this one. I will have some tailwind. I'll thinking a bit more in another episode about my food strategy once the food's been announced, but I will be using tailwind, so I divide them up into little bags, and then I'll just carry enough probably to get me to the next big checkpoint. So I'll need sort of 40 miles worth that I'll carry with me, but again I will think about how that works out. I may as well, I might put in lucky treats as well. These are my Hollander Barrett yogurty nuts and raisins, which I like, so something like that I might put in to supplement the food that's around. And as well these little milkshakes that I quite like, so I'll probably put one of those in as well. Since I did the last video on kit, we stopped in at Gretna on the way back from our recce weekend, and I picked up, look at this, this is a fully waterproof jacket. This is the Berghaus, and so it's a little smock style one which I like. It's got a hood, it's got tape seams, it's waterproof. Obviously it's not going to last a massive downpour, but that gives me another little option. And if the weather looks pretty good on the first day or two, then I may well just take this one, that will pass the kit check, and then I would have my thicker one in the drop bag at Patterdale, and then that would mean that if it looks as though the weather's not going to be quite so good over the second half of the race, I can take that one with me. So that's the plan on that. So that's my drop bag that I'm going to use for Patterdale and for Richmond. Just the basics in there, just in case I need to sleep but not planning to, and just a few bits of extra as food. So my main drop bag is going to be the second one, which goes to Kirby Stephen and the Lions Inn, and they're the two places where I plan to sleep. So I'm going to try and keep going for 82 miles, get to Kirby Stephen, have a sleep there, and I'm thinking about maybe an hour and a half sleep, a 90-minute sleep, with a few minutes in before to get ready, to get organised, and afterwards. So I'll probably stop for 2 hours. That's my initial goal, to see how that goes. And then I'll try and run from there to the Lions Inn, and then do the same there. Have something to eat, have a sleep, and that'll give me 35 miles to go to finish off. And I'm doing that 35 miles next weekend, so looking forward to recceing that last bit, and that will be pretty well most of the route covered. So I'm going to take my sleeping bag to sleep in at Kirby Stephen. I've also got a Thermarest mat. This is my friend Johnny's let me this. So you blow that up. It only takes less than a minute to blow up and to get down, so it'll be worth it if you get a nice comfortable sleep. So I'm going to take that. What I'll also take is a complete change of kit. So I plan that when I get to Kirby Stephen, I'll strip off completely and I'll change my kit. So I've got a new pair of shorts, tops, socks and my skins, and then I'll be able to get a nice fresh start. And I'll probably, when I arrive, I'll probably do that, have a little wash down if I can, or just with wet wipes. And even I might take just a t-shirt just to sleep in, just have a change. And then when I wake up, I'll put a dry kit on, have something to eat, and then get going. So if I can do that in 2 hours, I'll be quite impressed. But we'll see how that goes. But that's the plan. So I've got my socks as well. And then I'll probably I'm going to run in the Hokas. These are drying out from last weekend's recce run. So I'm aiming to wear my Hoka Stinson's ATR all the way pretty well, unless things go wrong. But I will also put my Skechers in for the second one, the one that goes to Kirby Stephen and to the Lions Inn, because if I do want to change the shoes, then that's more likely the place that I want to change it for that last 35 miles if I want to have a change. So I'm going to try and keep my drop bags pretty simple, to be honest. I don't want to have too much stuff in there, partly because I've got to carry them all the way down St. Bees and take them all the way back again at the end of the race on the train. So I don't want to take loads of stuff, and I know that the more stuff there is, the more choices you've got. So I can keep it fairly basic. If I've got a change of clothes, I'll have a towel in there as well, some bits of food, a sleeping bag, and the mat to be able to sleep on. And I think that should be fine. So that's my plan, to try and keep the drop bags as simple as possible, without wasting too much effort and time trying to carry them all, and have enough stuff there to be able to change and keep moving. So that's my plan. I'll be quite interested to know what other people are putting in their drop bags and what their plans are. After I'd done that, I did think there are a few of the little things I will be putting in. Things like I'll put some earplugs and an eye mask, so that if it is during the day when I'm going to sleep, which I think it probably will be, that'll try and help me to be able to get to sleep. Also, I'll probably have a bit of a medical kit in there, so if I need to put plasters on my feet, I need to deal with any blisters, I've got stuff there. I will put some sun cream in, because you never know, it might be quite a nice warm day in May, and I'll need some sun cream for the day. So there will be one or two other things I'll put in. One of my little challenges, I want to see if I can keep my Suntow watch going for the whole race, which means I'll need to recharge it on the run. So I can do that while I'm running, but I'll also take a plug and the charger, so that when we get to a checkpoint, if I do have a couple of hours of a stop, I can maybe recharge my phone and recharge my watch, so that keeps that. So I'll probably put that in as well. So there will be one or two other things that I'll plan to do. And this coming week, I've got another bigger week. This is my last big week really before the race. I'd always planned to do another recce weekend. So I'll run Monday, Wednesday, do my off-road runs around Pollard Park. And then Friday night, I'm straight from work. I'm going to drive down to Robin Hood's Bay, and I'm just on my own this time. And I've booked a campsite at Robin Hood's Bay. And then I put on the Hardmoors Facebook page whether anyone was interested in, well, it was more whether someone give me a lift actually. But James Hagen got back and said, would you like some company? He'd love to join me. So that's brilliant. So what we're going to do is we're going to meet at 8 o'clock at Robin Hood's Bay. We'll leave one car there. We'll drive back to the Lion Inn, and then we'll run from there back to Robin Hood's Bay. So that's the last 35 miles of the route. And I'm glad I'm doing that last, because it will be freshest in my mind to see how I'm going on that one. So that's the plan for the Saturday. And then once we get to Robin Hood's Bay, then we'll drive the car back to the Lion Inn, and James doesn't live too far away, so he'll head home. And then I'm going to drive to Osmotherley, where I've booked another campsite for the Saturday night. And then I was quite keen to run that bit from Danby Wisk to Osmotherley, where it joins the Cleveland Way. So that's the only out and back I've had to do in the end. So I think it's about 8 miles back out to Danby Wisk. So I'll run that, and then I'll run back again on the right direction. So that'll be about 16 miles. I'd like to do at least 20, maybe 24. So I'll probably just go another 4 miles up the route and back again to Osmotherley. Hopefully get a shower at the campsite, and then head home. And then by the time next weekend, then I'll have pretty well done about 95% of the route. There's just one or two little bits I've not done. The little bit from Blowfield Crossing to the Lion Inn, but people tell me that's pretty straightforward. And then the only other little bits I missed was the last 2 or 3 miles from Grasmere, when I had to turn back because of the ice on my first recce weekend. But the rest of it, I'll have done the whole route, so that's really good. So as I said, this is going to be my last big week really, and then I'll have 4 weeks to go. Then I'll probably have an easy week after this next weekend, and then I'll have a sort of medium week, and then I'll have a 2-week taper. So that will be my plan for the last 4 weeks to the race. And I'll also be using that time just to make sure I go over the maps, make sure I go over my pacing strategy and what I plan to do sleep wise. and I'll share some of those thoughts in future episodes. So next weekend's one, I won't get back until Sunday afternoon, so it'll probably be Monday, if not Tuesday, by the time I get the next vlog out of my last recce weekend. So I hope you have a good week, and I'm certainly looking forward to getting back on the route and doing that final section and having some company to run with. So thank you for James for offering to run with me, and I'm looking forward to chatting and running together next Saturday.